Hey everyone. In the brief interludes between my otherwise constant exposure to the internet and social media through a variety of screens, specifically when my internet goes down and I have nothing better to do, I like to read a good old-fashioned book. And today I thought I'd try reviewing a few of the books that I've been reading over this past year. So, in no particular order, Little Fires Everywhere. I really enjoyed this novel. In the end, a lot more than I thought I would, especially when it turned out that the book had very few actual acts of arson in it. In truth, just the one arson, albeit emanating from multiple points of ignition. I was really hoping that the arson would figure more prominently, as the title suggests, and that the book would play out more like a crime thriller. But it turns out that most of the story just revolves around upper middle class suburban life, with the central theme of motherhood and what it means to be a mother, which was a satisfyingly inflammatory subject in its own way. Next up, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. This book really helps to expose just how messed up our criminal justice system really is. It was definitely a difficult read, in large part because it seemed like there were no happy endings to any of the cases that Brian worked on. And maybe that's my main complaint. I feel like it would have been more entertaining if at least some of the wrongly convicted felons were ultimately exonerated and then went on to live happily ever after, just so I could walk away from the book feeling like the underlying societal issues at hand are being actively remediated by someone else, so I don't feel any personal obligation to do anything about it. Born a Crime, though. Trevor Noah really delivers on the laughs here, and Born a Crime turned out to be the perfect book for me to read after Just Mercy. I really needed a pick-me-up, and reading about how terrible South African racism is compared to American racism, it really made me feel a whole lot better by way of contrast. I definitely felt comfortably complacent by the end of the book. Come As You Are. Notwithstanding its enticing cover art, this book was surprisingly hard to follow, considering the otherwise arousing subject matter. The problem with this book, which strikes a mostly conversational tone throughout, is its over-reliance on metaphor to describe various complicated physiological and cognitive processes. And by the end of the book, I had just lost the thread on so many of the dozens of overextended metaphors being tenuously interwoven into the fabric of the book's metaphorical sexual tapestry. However, Sapiens, this sweeping summary of the 200,000-year history of humankind really helped to put into perspective how utterly meaningless my own petty life is in the grand scheme of things. And I now feel at liberty to do or say anything I want without fear of repercussion, because I know that in the end, my existence is but a mere infinitesimal point in the vast continuum of time and space, and any attempt to slow the inevitable entropy of the universe is just a waste of my precious and fleeting spark of consciousness. On Palestine, I picked this book up because I was just tired of only listening to other people's opinions regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and not knowing any of the actual history or details. I really wanted to make my own informed opinion on the subject. But as it turned out, the entire book is literally just a transcription of conversations between two professional opinionists whose arguments are so vague and use of evidence so sparse that I'm not even entirely sure what they were even talking about. It might have actually just been a decorous argument between the two authors over what the title of the book should be, and evidently they are not proponents of the two-title solution. I have not finished this book yet, A Promised Land. I started reading this because I felt like I needed a break from the overly eventful politics of the present day. And the best way I can describe A Promised Land is it's exactly like Obama's usual protracted manner of speaking, but in book form. The whole thing is just so blissfully dull. I couldn't even get through half of it. It's fantastic. It really helped me get over my insomnia. But my absolute favorite book, has to be Computational Inelasticity. Just from beginning to end, this book was a pure thrill ride. It had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Just one shocking derivation after the other. And spoiler alert, The ending, when the thermodynamic arguments presented all the way back in Chapter 2 make an unexpected comeback and get used to reformulate a multiplicative J2 plasticity model based on a hyperelastic potential. I mean, what a twist. I did not see that coming. But the last book on my list is one that I still have not read yet. I just haven't found the time, but people keep recommending it to me and telling me that I really need to read this book. Is the U.S. Constitution.